Oh, it's on Saturday.
Hi. Hi, everybody. We'll give it just a minute and then we'll get started. How's everybody's week going? Anybody have something cool they want to share? What's going on with my hair?
Hello. Supposed to be, oh, sheesh, I'm supposed to be muted.
All right, get going. Let's do. Thanks for being here. I think tonight will be good. Please ask questions. We are in the last month, which is crazy. And you guys kick butt for making it this far. So I am gonna start off by sharing my screen. Mhm. And make it bigger. Oh well. Okay. Can everybody see that? Okay. Yes. Okay. So I wanted to play around a little on here just so that we could go over kind of logging food, creating recipes in the app. Y'all already know I use Chronometer, and that's what I like. It's going to be the same idea if you log on other apps too. I've only ever done Chronometer and my Fitness Pal and like played around a little bit on the other ones, but it seems like it's pretty consistent across apps. But if you have questions, I can certainly look. Like I won't have like paid access for other apps, but if we need to look at, different things on your apps, I can always help with that too. So, I thought first off, we could just pull pull a recipe right over from Pinterest into the app. Now, the hard thing here, I wanted to be able to share my screen so you guys could see it, but I mean, it's quite a bit different than on my phone. Same concept, so hopefully it still makes sense. So, this is on my diary, so go over to custom recipes. So today we're gonna import. We're gonna import a recipe first. That was silly. I put the cart before the horse. Okay. First, we're gonna go over to Pinterest, and I already went and found one, so I didn't have to sit here and scroll and scroll. So it needs to be one that you can actually go to the site. Like it's actually like on its own little website, blog, whatever, because you can do it a different way if it just posts the ingredients and stuff, like some of the recipes on Pinterest, it'll just say it like in the comments, whatever, and not necessarily in a whole different site. But to be able to import it, excuse me, the easiest way is to, like I've already opened this up in its own tab. So it won't let you import it from the Pinterest link. You have to actually go to the tab. So should just be able to grab this. I have a Mac. Things have to be difficult. So we should just be able to paste that and import her on over. So, okay. So then you have to go through it. So it has to be difficult, it's saying like, oh, this isn't found. Well, we literally just need to put ground beef in there. And let me look and make sure on the amount. I promise I did look through this, but I can't remember everything. I know it did say that it was 4 servings. You really need to know your servings before you go in and start making your recipe. So it's saying 1.5, obviously that'd be raw weight, 1.5 pounds lean ground beef. So let's jump back in chronometer. Now, okay, cool. So it pulled up different things. So this is what I usually use. We've talked a little bit about that. So that'd be 90-10 burger, 90% lean. So we'll click on that, and then down here, it's showing, serving size of it. So it'd be 16 ounces, right? Pound and a half. And we'll see if that pulled over. Okay. Then you want to go through just the other things in here. It does not always pull over, obviously, completely accurately. It's nice to use, but it's not 100% foolproof. So I don't know if it used says Colby Jack cheese. I don't remember if that's what it was. Let's just compare really quick. Yep, it does say 1 cup shredded Colby Jack. Okay, or traditional provolone. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then it says 1 cup cooked. We're gonna go in and see what this says. So, oh, it did pull over cooked. So a lot of the time it will do, your numbers will be way off because say it will ask for a cup cooked rice in the recipe, but it'll do a cup of uncooked rice or whatever, anything like that, pasta in when it pulls over. And so obviously that will completely, because it would be double or half one way or the other. So just make sure all that's right. So that should be good. Heck, it even pulled over the servings and everything right. That's awesome. This actually might be better on the computer. This is the first time we've ever done it on the computer. You can even put notes in. You can, I mean, it's pretty cool. It shows you right there. So then it will also show the full recipe and the servings. I do notice that it wants to, when you go to pull it up to put it in for the day, it wants to do like full recipe and you'll be like, wow, why am I eating 40,000 calories today? So pay attention to that. So as far as that, you're fine because it needs to have both in there, but okay, should be good. So save changes. Woohoo. And then instead of adding it to my diary this way, I'm going to show you, going to go into my diary and pretend like that's what I had for breakfast. Maybe. Okay. So going to our recipes under custom. Again, this will show up a little bit different in there. But then it was called, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, well, it's actually even showing it as a serving. Super duper. So notice it says like 314 grams. That that can be a good, when you're trying to split it, that can be a good way to look at it and see if you're close, like if you're measuring it into your meal prep dishes. But again, don't plan on it being hard and fast because obviously sometimes more liquid's going to cook out. Sometimes you're going to add more liquid, like adding some soy sauce or Worcestershire sauce to this isn't going to make a caloric difference, but it will make a weight difference, right? So add it on up to the diary and it worked. It worked very well. Um, So I love on here, and it's going to do this on a lot of apps that are especially like paid. I think this is one of the paid perks, but see how it actually shows calories and then your individual macros under each, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I like that. It's nice to just be able to watch that to kind of know, it helps you figure out where you're at, where you need to be a little bit easier. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions on that or need to see any parts of it again? Because I kind of just flew through it fast. And I can only see a couple of you at a time. So if you need something, you're just going to have to unmute and yell out because I probably won't see if you raise your hand or anything, but please feel free to yell at me. So exciting so far. Okay, let's move on. So we just added a recipe and did that. That's kind of a painful skill that is annoying to get down, I think, sometimes. But as far as just regular logging, I realize a lot of you probably know how to do that, but we're going to log some things anyways. So in Chronometer and hopefully most apps, it's going to have Chronometer's a little different. Like MyFitnessPal seemed like it pulled up my kind of commonly eaten foods a little bit simpler. Like I do notice that something I will think I've eaten commonly won't pull up in here always. And so I will try to go in, okay, banana. Oh, it's already starred. That wasn't helpful. Hang on, hang on. Okay. So I eat a lot of baked sweet potatoes. We'll just use that as an example. So when you star it, ding, then it throws it into your favorites. So it's you don't want to just rely on the common foods thing because to me it acts like it doesn't even know what the heck you're talking about. I've never heard of this food before. You ate it yesterday? No recollection. So it's a lot easier to build your favorites and not have to sit and search for it. So these are all things I specifically went and starred because it's something I eat all the time. A note while we're here, let's go in and I'll just okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to go in from the other screen. I'm trying to add that. Okay. So also in the app, I'm not sure it's gonna let me do it on here. So I actually had to enable where you can choose like multiple things before it will pull over into your diary. And I don't know that it'll let me do it on this one. So, nope. No, it won't. That's okay. So there's our banana, which is very vague. Oh, down here is where it says, 7 to 7 and 7/8 inches long. Do I measure it? I do not. Don't do that. You don't got to do that. Okay, cool. There's our little banana. And there's a couple notes on hopefully try to make it a little bit easier. Now this, I love all this. I realize not everybody cares about all this, but I do love all this. It's there. It's there if you care to look at it. See where you're at with all your other nutrients. Okay, let's go back into. Okay, you can set up repeat items and stuff there. That will be, yeah, you can do that. But that's not what I was trying to look at. Let's. Oh, I really just wanted to go in and look at. Hmm. Okay, we'll go this way. No, we're gonna go this way, sorry. Okay, custom foods. So these are things that either weren't something that was in their library. Now I know that, or their database would be more accurate. I know that some people don't love this app because they don't have a lot of, it's an Australian based app, I think. Don't quote me on that. And so they don't have a lot of, say, like Cafe Rio. I don't think there's Cafe Rio entries in here, or if there is, there's very few. So if it is something that I eat often enough, or just like a Maverick beefy cheese burrito, I was like, let's scare ourselves and see how much this actually is, and pull it over from I think I actually pulled that one from the website to be able to create a custom food. But anyways, if it's something I eat often enough, then I will. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. I will create a custom food, and it's pretty simple. But for example, the chicken I eat the most of, sorry, I made it because I wanted it to be as accurate as possible, and I wanted to be able to go off the actual label that it came with, because this is the brand I eat, this is the kind I eat. And so you don't really have to worry about this. This was just for my own, I wanted it to feel accurate. And so I just pulled it off the label and created it just right off, just right off of the packaging. And it's really easy. It doesn't take very long. It's only worth doing if it's something you eat a lot of, in my opinion. Don't make yourself crazy over, sometimes good enough's good enough. And you can just, create, or just throw an entry. And if you're wanting to still log it, but you don't, there's nothing that really seems great. Like say, uh, like getting a big chocolate chip cookie. I love those big chocolate chip cookies from Soda Shack. Well, I'll find like a bakery cookie, and it will be a smaller one. And so I'll just be like, well, this is probably 3 times the size, because it'll be like, oh, it's so many inches across. Okay, well, I just ate basically the equivalent of 3 times, and probably a quarter of a pound of butter. I don't know. That's probably why they're so good. I can't tell. But anyways, so yeah, I really don't have tons of custom foods in here, but as far as custom recipes, that just, I'll go back to the recipes. Yeah. It truly, in my opinion, just makes life way stinking easier. As I was making the meal plan and everything, that's what I did. If I couldn't pull it over from Pinterest or just create it off of whatever, if it's a recipe that I kind of just made up and just kind of throw it into there with the ingredients of how I know they go, then I would actually, I'll either create a recipe or I'll just do it like deconstructed, right? Well, I know I'm gonna have 5 ounces of rice. I'm gonna have um 4 ounces of steak. I'm just thinking like I had fajitas tonight. Say 4 ounces of steak, that'd be quite a bit of steak and fajitas. But so I'll do it each piece, an ounce of cheese, each of those separate. But if it's something like, let's look here. Okay. The chicken curry salad is a good one. So I know we split that into so many in the meal plan. So it's really easy to throw in here, and then you can do your weight based and, do it in your three different containers, four different containers, whatever. And then, just know that you're going to have to probably even it out a little bit or it'll be close enough for sure. Or, because it'd be really hard to kind of deconstruct that and do it separately. So things like that, that's put together like that, definitely easier to just construct into a recipe. So, anyways, what questions do you guys have about logging or chronometer in general or any of the logging apps that I could maybe answer here? Nada. Okay. All right. We are going to, we'll probably be coming back to this. I think we will, yeah, we will be coming back to that. So I know I've had some of you ask, how do I set my targets? How do I know even where I should be calorie wise? Any of that. Now, this is definitely it's a hard question that I don't have just a very specific answer for in the way that your targets and your ranges can always change. And they can change based on a lot of different things. But I also want you guys, like I've said before, to be able to at least do enough that you can kind of muddle through things yourself or just play with it even on your own, because if you truly don't have the first clue of calories or where you could be or anything, and somebody, gives you a 1200 calorie macro prescription and you don't know any better, you could be setting yourself up for kind of a mess if you're working out 5 days a week. And yeah, there's no reason for that. So I definitely believe in trying to figure stuff out on your own. Now, this is not perfect by any means, but well, if I could spell it also help. Calculator. Okay. So this one is not a bad place to start. It's just TDEE calculator.net. Total daily energy expenditure, right? So you just put in, well, will be me. Nope, I'm not 150 years old. I feel it sometimes. Yesterday I felt it. How old am I? I'm 41. 150 pounds. 5, and we'll give it 3 to 5 days a week. So your multiplier of how much you exercise, that's going to go off of how sometimes like on different calculators, some of them will be how many steps you get in a day for one, and also how many times you actually like exercise in a week. This one just is the single, like, oh, I exercise 3 to 5 days a week. And that's another one of those, okay, so one person will, they'll go for a walk for 20 minutes 3 days a week, and then on the other side someone's doing CrossFit 5 days a week or something. Obviously none of this is going to just fit that, right? But again, we're doing this for the sake of being able to kind of figure things out for yourself. It doesn't matter. Don't put your body fat in. You don't know your body fat. I promise you don't. If you've gotten on a body scanner, you know even less about your body fat than you did before, probably because they're highly, highly, highly inaccurate. Okay. So it starts off with your maintenance. This is your estimated maintenance, right? So this is our estimated maintenance. Now, don't look at your ideal weight. It's stupid. If I don't really love the macros it comes up with. I don't ever really suggest those, but I mean, it could be worse. Okay. However, where is it? Sorry, I'm not used to doing this on the computer again. Okay. If you put in cutting, it's going to just slash. I think almost like no matter what, I think it just slashes 500 calories off. That's a that's fairly aggressive. That's quite aggressive, actually. That doesn't necessarily need to happen. A lot of this is going to depend on where you are currently. Where have you actually been eating currently? Because say it gives you a 2000 calorie maintenance target, but I've been eating 2200 calories a day and I'm not gaining weight. Obviously, my maintenance is higher than 2000. It's, around, it could be 2200 or something like that, depending on how long I've been eating that and how consistent I've been there. So when you look at this, we'll go back to maintenance. So I would say if, I did this for myself and it came up with my maintenance calories of 2000 and I have no idea where I've been hitting consistently. I have no clue, starting from ground zero, just trying to figure out a plan. What a really good jump point is to remove 10% of that. So we're just gonna, for simplicity's sake, say 2000 even. So we're gonna pull 200 off of that. So 1800. If I can, and like truly for me, if I consistently eat 1800 calories, I will lose weight for sure. But I also think my maintenance is a little higher than that. Your maintenance also is going to depend, like we've talked before, on the amount of muscle you have, the amount of fat you have. Obviously, your activity, it's already accounting for that, a lot of different things. So, this at least will tell you, you know, we're just going to give you an idea. Now, how long to stay somewhere and actually be able to decide if it is a deficit for you, if it is maintenance for you, whatever. I would say that if you are consistent, and we're talking 90% of the time, you are, we'll say we're trying to cut, did the 10% off, hitting 1800 calories, 3 weeks, and absolutely no change, and you're not even like necessarily starting to feel like anything is moving, you could pull another 10% off. But what I don't want you to do is jump to the automatic 500 calories off and then, sit and try to hit it. And because what you're probably going to do is like day one, 1500 calories, day two, 1500 calories, day three, not used to eating that low, starving, and you're going to be 2300 calories or whatever. And then try to go back anyways, back and forth, back and forth. You might as well just stay at like find a moderate, just a little bit down, find a moderate place and try to stay there. And also, something I've, really wanted to kind of be able to point out with the meal plan I provided and the amounts and everything like that is it's actually, it's pretty hard to be able to figure out really right where 1800 calories is or however many calories, just using that as an example. But when you start logging and it's a new skill that you're working on, weighing stuff weighing is always going to be the best way to do it and the way to be able to really get a visual of what we're talking, kind of what amounts you're talking about. Measuring is good too. It's obviously going to make more sense to measure your liquids than your solids. So, like a half a cup of rice isn't just going to be a half a cup of rice. Like, I mean, dry rice, yeah, but cooked rice, half a cup of rice. I mean, if it's packed, if it's loose, it's obviously going to be all over the place. Weighing is going to be much better. Now, um, no reason to get obsessive over it, but really being able to get an idea and not just eyeball stuff, always going to be a lot more helpful. So let's take, here's what we're going to do. Like I said, I don't, the macros on here are whatever. I don't love them. So we'll just take the 1800, right? Let's go back into chronometer. So it's going to be under, I'm really not used to this on here, sorry. Should be targets. Nope. Wait, maybe. No. Sorry, mine are always all over the place. No. It's gonna be really embarrassing about the time I'll find it, I promise. Hmm, that's really weird. It should, let me look on my phone because I swear that's different than, hold please. Oh, it is different because there should be, sorry, I have not updated this for a minute. I think, okay. So you can at least look on here too. Okay, so it's showing, oh, it's giving me a default BMR, which is fine. And then, yeah, it's got me very active. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for though. Should be. Oh, good teacher, huh? Okay, okay. I have not been on here since the update. They've moved it all around. That's, yeah, I'm sticking to that. Okay, so it's doing fixed targets with ones I can put in myself, but we still need to, oh, okay, that's the problem. It's on weight goal. Sorry, this is super messed up right now. This is what I was looking for, custom energy target. So you can do a custom energy target. We just decided 1800, right? Yes. Okay. Now, if you haven't messed with it a million times like I have with mine, constantly in here messing around with it, then it should see it shows it's like targets don't match. Well, yeah, because I have not messed with this for a sec. So custom energy target, it shows our 1800. Well, now it's showing, well, hey, this is only 1647. So it'll show you your ratios. And if you hit ratios, it will just like you can automatically bounce it out with ratios. I never do it that way. I usually like fixed targets. So here's what we'll do. We'll just play around with it till it actually matches. Oh, hey, that's beautiful. Okay. So you're right there pretty much. Now, who remembers how to find your protein? Let's see what mine would be.
It's 0.7 to 1.0.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so if I do 150, so we're about 150 times point, yep, almost. 150 times 0.83. Yeah, close. So I did my weight times, that's 0.83. But somewhere within that range, right? Now, again, that depends on what's your overall calories. If we're just going to say that, say you did this and you're 1,800 calories and you did it for 3 weeks and you're like not budging, say we bumped it down to 1,600. Well, if you have your protein set at the high end, that's all you're going to be eating, right? Bump your protein down to kind of a lower where you're still going to maintain lean mass. You're still going to have a decent, you're still going to have a high enough protein goal to be able to do everything you need to. But if your calories are pulled down, don't let all your calories be protein. There is no reason for that. None. That is called misery. So mine's a good, just kind of mid. I can hit 125 pretty easily, even sometimes without a protein shake, like not too hard for me to hit. My total carbs, 165. Have a little bit more in my fat at 71. 165, maybe kind of on the lowish end. I don't know. I like 70. I like maybe a little bit higher fat because then, we do eat a lot of beef and all that. So, that being said, I feel like this gets confusing, but it's still important information. If your protein goal is set where it needs to be in that range, your total carbs and fat don't matter, or your carbs and fat don't matter in the total versus, hitting those specifically, exactly, perfectly. You can be, you could be, it's going to take me a minute. You get what I'm saying? That is still going to equal, 1,800 calories. I like to set carbs and fats for myself and for my clients because if I have a target to hit, I'm going to try and hit it. If my target is just moving and I am just eating and not really paying attention, it's harder for me to hit a target. It's good to know that you can still move it around. It does not have to be hard and fast, but I do still like to coach and even for myself, I will set myself targets, not only because for me it's easier to hit those targets if they're kind of hard and fast like that, and I just, you know, kind of plan on that, but also because I don't want to be too low on my fat. We've talked about that. Fat transports hormones. Fat is important. But on the other end, uh, I'm not going to eat, 120 grams of fat or whatever because then it's not going to give me room for everything else. I do like to have my carbs at a certain place too, because I want to make sure that I have room. Say I'm at a lower calorie range than this. Excuse me. If my carbs are really low because I've put it all into protein and fat, and it's like seems like it's just taking them all up just to eat fruit, that's defeating my purpose, because it's important for me to get fiber, and it's important me, for me, I like to be able to eat fruit. I like to be able to put that in through my day. I don't want it to feel like, oh, you have no room for these things. So for me, I like to set my totals to where it's just kind of more balanced. So hopefully that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? I feel like that was like a confusing blah. Mm. I don't do net carbs. Do you know what net carbs? Does anybody know what net carbs are? Probably it'd tell us if I hovered over that question mark. Net carbs is when a carb has fiber, so the fiber does not get, this fiber goes through you, right? So it gets taken out of the amount of carbs. So it pulls out the fiber, the part of the fiber that doesn't get put into your system, and gives you your net carbs. I just like total carbs. I don't know. That's just how I've always done it. And then, I calculate using grams on those, because it's going to tell you your kcals right there. Another one, I always, on my app, on everybody else's app, turn off your exercise, where it will add calories if you exercise. Here's why. If you're just logging and you really kind of don't have any idea where you should be, whatever, it's, for one thing, it's trying to keep you at like a maintenance, and it's adding that back in. Now, when I'm coaching, I'm never going to put you at a low calorie range and then expect you to try and, you're going to be hungry. And if you have include exercise in there, it's going to throw that extra food in there. Well, here's the problem. When you wear a tracker, you wear a watch, whatever, and it gives you, it says, you burned however many calories. Now, if we remember back to our, kind of calorie burn lesson, our exercise lesson, that's all over the place. And it's just really inaccurate. And for me, I'm always going to account for whatever exercise you're planning on doing. I'm always going to account for, like, well, this is what you're doing. This is about, your kind of baseline and your BMR and everything. So we're already going to be accounted for that. So if you count on that, if you account for that on top of that with the include exercise, throwing calories back in, it's not going to make sense for what we're trying to do. So hopefully that makes sense. I always turn that off for everybody. But okay. I don't do anything with that. So now we set our new targets. So it's going to show, let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, just shows down here. So I've put in, banana for breakfast and a couple of our meal plan things for lunch and dinner. So it shows right here in your targets. Like I usually have, I like on my app for this one to show. This one for me visually makes the most sense, but there's other options that, like, you can, have it on this one that's showing, oh, you've also burned this, you have this remaining, this consumed, whatever. This one for me, just simple. And I like to be able to see, how much further I have to go on everything. But again, on the phone, it looks different than that. And you can scroll over at the top and it'll show different things. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to see if there was anything else I wanted to cover on there. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Now, as far as making your own meal plan, this is about to get real sciencey. I hope you're ready and excited. This is how I kind of typically make a meal plan. I have a gazillion things pinned on Pinterest, and I literally just go, what even sounds good? What even sounds good? I try to do it on a day where I'm actually also maybe a little hungry because sometimes nothing sounds good and then that's not very helpful for us. But truly, I don't just do Pinterest. I have a lot of different, recipe books and everything too. And I just go kind of what's in season, what's kind of, what have we kind of been enjoying lately that we're not sick of? What are things I kind of want to add in more of? And what's going to be, kind of fall within my time constraints and everything else. So truly, I will just go through and I will just start writing down, and this is silly little whatever tips. I will just write how it says on Pinterest or in my recipe books, or I'll like make notes as I'm working through like a meal plan for myself. Okay, this is easy summer chicken salad recipes, whatever. It was in there on Pinterest, and then kind of write my grocery list with what I don't have from it. And then, like I said, you just build it right into your recipes. I'll do this a lot of time, like on a Sunday afternoon, sitting down for a minute, and I will just start pulling stuff into my app because then I know that when I'm busy throughout the week, okay, well, I've already went and got the groceries I need or whatever. But then instead of having to also build a recipe for it or plan out what days I'm going to eat it or whatever. I try to just think beforehand before I'm past the point of wanting to deal with it. I try to put that thought in when I have a minute to sit down and do it. And I realize it's, it's a process to kind of be able to learn this and do it, but really just sitting down and doing it, even if you just did your dinners, even if you just did your lunches, but just said, okay, this week I'm going to figure out, these couple things I want to eat, putting it in before you ever get started on your week and get to the point where you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. So that isn't anything, too crazy, mind blowing. But I will give you also a little warning on here. And this girl is a really good example. That's why I thought of it. This girl has some good recipes. They're, some of them are kind of funky. Some of her, it just showed, I'll just go back on. It'll show the calories and stuff in it. Some of them are crap. They're absolute, no, they're wrong. It's good to just be able to look at something and realize, like, does that seem right? So that's when being able to put something into an app is helpful because, like I was hoping that the meal plan would kind of be helpful where you don't have to log things if you didn't want to. Um, you could just kind of, not have to put a ton of thought into it. But please just know that definitely not everything on here. It's just like everything else on social media. Sometimes you're like, yeah, right. No, this is wrong. There are definitely some more reputable apps. I wish I had one right here. Or some more reputable, I guess I should say, influencers. She has some really good recipes. She also doesn't eat enough, in my opinion, but that's none of my business, right? Um, I don't know. I have a lot of recipes. It's kind of terrifying, but okay. Before we get off of these screens, and you guys have just sat and listened to me talk for 50 minutes. I'm sorry. Is there something else you want to see on here? Is there something else we need to go through on here, or something that's confusing or that we didn't cover? Because that's also a good chance. Want a horrifying amount of pins? Feel free to follow me. It's really overwhelming. 1.6 thousand pins on Healthy Family. That's a lot. Okay. And I can send you guys obviously whatever too, but cool. Any thoughts, any questions, any confusions, anything? Okay. So, what I want to do, we'll just have what, 3 weeks left after this. So I want to be able to cover anything else that you guys want to more clarification on or anything like that. But I'll be asking more like through text and email and that stuff. We are still going to kind of go over some travel tips. We didn't do much with that yet. And just a few other things that we talked about, that we'd touch on. But mostly I want to make sure to be able to still cover things that you guys want to talk more about. So for the next 3 weeks, I'll be kind of asking more questions. We'll be doing some more things that way. I just barely got last week's class sent out just tonight, and and I also put in the little like diagram that we used separately in there so you can see it, and you could use it if you wanted to. But anyways, you guys have been super, super quiet, and if you speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful at all, because it felt like just a lot of gibberish. But if you have any questions, also feel free to text me. And if you need help setting your own targets specifically, obviously text me too. But hopefully that kind of gives you guys a little bit of a not very formal way to just be able to kind of start doing some of that stuff on your own if you haven't already, or if you have already, be able to kind of, go off of that and be able to, figure out all these things for ourselves. So if there's nothing else, I hope you guys have a super good week, and we'll talk to you later.